As you know, the border is a disaster, and we're seeing record-breaking numbers on a daily basis, and that's without even the Title 42 restrictions being lifted later this week. So how did we get here, and what can be done to fix it? Let's bring in Mark Morgan. He is the former Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection under President Trump. Mr. Commissioner, thanks for joining us, sir.
Larry, thanks for having me.
Let me ask you a real flat-out question, because everyone's pointing to this Title 42 thing. Oh my gosh, Title 42, then. Is there any reason why Title 42 is lifted? Is there any reason why, based on the laws that exist right now on the books, if the president gave the order, if there was a will in the Department of Homeland Security, that we could shut this down and we could turn everybody away? Is Title 42 really that big of a thing?
No, undeniably, what you just said is correct. And look, this isn't a partisan thing. Let's put this in perspective. All they have to do is employ a strategy of deterrence, consequences, integrity by reducing fraudulent claims being filed. If they did that, and wait for it, it's exactly what we did under President Trump. Love him or hate him, that's the truth. We have the most secure border in our lifetime. For example, Larry, if they just reinstated the Safe Third Country with all three Northern Triangle countries, if they reinstated the Remain in Mexico program, which led to a significant deterrent, if they let ICE actually do their job to deport criminal illegal aliens and get them off the streets of our country, and if they provided resources like reinstating the construction of the border wall, you would see illegal immigration drastically go down. You would see more resources back on the line and a more secure border. And Larry, if I can, one more point to your comment, you're spot on. Title 42 ending isn't going to start the crisis. We've already been in the middle of an unmitigated self-inflicted crisis for the past 2 years. Yeah. It's simply going to make a sustained hurricane and turn it into a tsunami.
So I just want to flesh this out a little bit. So all of these people, we're seeing these incredible images of people already pouring across the border. They're sleeping on the streets in El Paso. They're waiting up in Brownsville, Texas, ready to cross. They're all claiming asylum. Is that what they're doing?
Yes, the overwhelming majority are claiming asylum, except for the gotaways, which we can talk about.
Yeah.
But think about it. Think about this, Larry. It makes sense. All you have to do is say the magic words. Under this administration, you're going to be processed and released in the United States.
Okay.
So they've sent a message out to the entire world. Now's the time to come, make a false asylum claim. And that's very important because it's not just about those that are illegally entering. It's the fact that they're entering, whether illegally or port of entry, and they're filing what we know to be a false and fraudulent claim. Over 90% of those that file do not get relief. So It's not just about illegally entering, it's that plus filing false claims.
So if they come in through a legal port of entry and they claim asylum, they're processed and they're let into the country. If they illegally cross the border and they're apprehended, if they claim asylum, again, they're just processed and they're let into the country. So whether they come in legally or not, if they claim asylum, they're here. And Mr. Morgan, my understanding is there have been 6.5 million of those since the Biden presidency began. Do we have the court system and the hearing infrastructure to adjudicate each and every one of those asylum claims?
No, there's over 1 million cases in backlog. They're saying it's going to take now between 4 to 6 years to get through their immigration proceedings. Think about that. In the meantime, they've got married, they've had a couple of kids, and now no one wants to deport them, right? We don't have that political will to do that.
Right, and then they become the next sob story where people say, well, they've been here for 4 years and they're working and they're paying their taxes, so why would you deport them? And of course the answer is because they falsely claimed asylum. They didn't have the right to be here in the first place. So let me just, and again, I want all of our viewers to understand this. This is all of the president's making, because it's not like the law changed when he was sworn into office. When you and the Trump administration had control of the border, let's say the same scenario happens and people either apprehended, illegally crossing, or they're stopped at a legal port of entry and they claim asylum. What was done with them?
Two things, Larry, and this is the question. And what you just said, by the way, is spot on. You don't have to be border security expert. I couldn't have said it better of how you describe the situation. It's just common sense, right? We did two very important things under the Trump administration. Wait for it. We detained those that illegally in and filed an asylum claim while they were going through their asylum claim, and or we removed them while they were going through their asylum claim, meaning we did not release them in the United States. If you release them, again, this is where you just have to be not devoid of common sense, and not be driven by ideology and politics. If you stop releasing someone in the United States, they will stop coming. It's that simple. That's the strategy that we approved, that we did. It was about deterrence, consequences, and reducing fraudulent claims being filed.
All right, so that's the 6+ million who have come in either illegally apprehended and then they granted asylum, or they come in at a point of entry and they're not granted asylum, but they're granted a hearing and they wait it out here in the States. Now, what about these gotaways? I mean, here's the thing that really boggles my mind. If you know already how easy it is from Guatemala, Honduras, China, wherever you're coming in, if you already know how easy it is to just go to the gate, say you want asylum, and then they're let in, these people who are sneaking in and get away, I'm guessing they've got some real problems in their track record. I'm sad. They want to stay under the radar. These are probably be pretty bad people.
Larry, again, I couldn't have said it better myself. Again, it's just common sense, right? Think about it. The overwhelming majority of the 6 million plus you described, how you described is exactly what happens. They come across, they sit down, they actually wait for a Border Patrol agent to come and process them because they know they're going to get released. But if that's the case, why do we have a gotaway?
Yeah.
We shouldn't have a gotaway, right? Well, the reason is, just as you said, is that not everybody coming to our border is good. Now, I didn't say everybody is bad, but not everybody is good. And common sense will tell you the gotaways, that's where you have the bad people. That's where you have murderers, rapists, pedophiles, aggravated felons, and gang members. Another little stat. In the first 26 months, we've had over 1.5 million known gotaways. And we also know at the same time period, Border Patrol have apprehended about 80,000 criminals. That's just what they've apprehended, 80,000, including 130 convicted murderers. Now let's go back to the 1.5 million known gotaways. If they've apprehended 130, think about how many murders and rapists are among the 1.5 million.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling and it's infuriating. And I've met so many people, Mark Morgan, who come into this country the legal way. It takes years, it takes a bit of money, it takes some perseverance. At this point, after almost 3 years of this mayhem on our border, why would anyone around the world actually come into this country through the legal means? The message is sent: the people who are breaking the law are being rewarded.
They shouldn't. You're exactly right. You just said something that's very key that's not said enough. It's not just that they're incentivizing and facilitating those coming illegally and or filing fraudulent claims. Larry, it's that third leg of the stool that you just said. It's not just incentivizing and facilitating. They're actually being rewarded once they get here. So what's the incentive for anyone to go through the lengthy, expensive process where in the end, they get the same reward and they're treated exactly the same as someone who did it legally?
It's demoralizing, frankly, and it goes against basic fairness and common sense. So here's what I get confused about it, and I think that I didn't get confused about it, but I get frustrated. When the media covers this story, they'll just throw away a headline and they'll say, well, the president is sending 1,500 troops to the border to help with the situation. Most people seeing that think that, oh, troops, they're going to secure the border. They're going to keep people out because they're troops. It's not what they're doing, are they, sir?
No, Larry, again, that's exactly right. It's another one of what I call, I learned a long time in law school, that intentional omission of a material fact is the same thing as a lie, right? And so that's what they're doing. You're exactly right. 1,500 troops. Well, let's keep in mind that military personnel have been at our border for a very long time. They were there under Obama, they were there under Trump, and they've been there the past 2 years under the Biden administration. In addition to that, look at Texas. Texas has anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 National Guardsmen and women down there, for almost 2 years. And the only thing that's happened at our border is it's gotten worse. Make no mistake, the 1,500 military personnel going down there, they're not there to secure the border. They're not there to implement a strategy of deterrence, consequences, integrity. What they are, though, is they're going to help to maintain the same level of proficiency of catch and release as the numbers go up. The reality is the Biden administration got really good at handling 5,000 to 6,000, 7,000 a day. Now we're seeing those numbers already go up to 9,000 or 10,000. They just need those troops down there to, again, maintain the same level of proficiency of releasing the increase in numbers.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's to help facilitate and bring people in faster.
That's it.
Quite the opposite. Mark Morgan, the good news is you represent the reality that this can get fixed. We just need a leader with the will to fix it, and then we can turn this around. Thanks for joining us. By the way, that 6.5 million who have already come into the country illegally, that would be the size of our 17th largest state, the population of Indiana. 11 electoral college votes for the presidential election. Makes you wonder. There's more to come on O'Connor Tonight.